My homemade thermoacoustic Stirling engine has to produce enough energy from self-generated biogas to make us, along with our solar power plant, independent of energy suppliers. To achieve faster and better engine development, I would like to start this as an open source project together with you. For this, I will show here now all the dimensions and the entire structure of the thermoacoustic engine in detail. The idea is to develop a simple, reliable and efficient power plant that anyone can build with basic tools. For a long time I have been producing my own energy using my conventional Stirling engines and self-generated biogas. However, my mechanical Stirling engines are too difficult, complicated, maintenance intensive and therefore too expensive. The elegant concept of the thermoacoustic engine requires no moving parts except for energy extraction and is therefore ideal for a simple and reliable do-it-yourself mini power plant that anyone can build. The underlying thermoacoustic theory is quite complex, and optimization with delta AC and computational fluid dynamics (CFD) requires a great deal of training or experience in this field. To enable everyone to participate in developing the thermoacoustic Stirling engine, I will describe all the dimensions and the exact construction process here. It would be great if as many people as possible could share their ideas and suggestions in the comments and on Discord. Are these communication platforms sufficient, or would GitHub or something similar be better suited for working on the project together? You can find the link to our Discord server in the video description. So far, I have developed the entire design of the heat exchangers and the thermoacoustic circuit based on only a few simple parameters and experimental results. There is still a lot of potential here, and optimization with delta AC and CFD, together with pressure charging, promises a very big increase in performance. First, I will describe the design of the engine in its simplest form, and later I will add the modifications. The thermoacoustic Stirling engine consists of the thermoacoustic core, the feedback loop and the power extraction unit. In this video I describe the core branch in detail. It is the heart of the engine in which the thermoacoustic effect is generated. The core consists of the regenerator, heater, main cooler, secondary cooler and the thermal buffer tube. Only here in the heater, regenerator and thermal buffer tube are the high temperatures that require the use of heat-resistant materials. I built the core for the prototypes from heat-resistant stainless steel using a lathe and milling machine. Later, improved versions should be printed by 3D printing companies using metal or ceramic. Nowadays, this is no longer that expensive and allows anyone to build their own engine. It also allows for much better heat exchanger geometries, and the burner can be integrated into the heater, for example. Overall, this technology enables many simplifications and improvements. The regenerator is the most important component in which the thermoacoustic cycle takes place. Here, the Stirling cycles run through in microscale, and the thermoacoustic effect converts thermal energy into acoustic energy. The regenerator is located between the heater and the main cooler, and its temperature gradient and good heat transfer to the working gas are usually achieved using stainless steel wire mesh or many fine channels with thin walls. As with all heat exchangers, a compromise must be found between heat transfer surface area and flow resistance. I don't quite understand yet whether the volume of the heat exchangers has a negative effect on performance similar to the so-called dead volume in conventional Stirling engines, or whether other effects come into play here. Hopefully, simulations with delta AC and CFD will be able to show this. The optimum length of the heat exchangers is a peak-to-peak displacement amplitude L equals 2c, as each fluid particle only travels that distance during an oscillation. Having heat exchangers longer than this distance has no advantage. The optimal design of the regenerator is difficult and complex and has the greatest potential for improvement. I use 76 mesh 40 or 100 mesh 100 wire mesh discs with a diameter of 60 mm and a length of 25 mm made of stainless steel. But I have also tried spiral wound stainless steel foil with a thickness of 0.05 mm. I made the first wire mesh discs on a lathe, but now I have access to a laser cutter, which makes the process much easier and more efficient. There are also inexpensive manufacturers for this, and many maker spaces have suitable laser cutters that are no longer that expensive. Care should be taken to ensure that the housing has thin walls in order to prevent heat loss and keep the temperature gradient in the regenerator as high as possible. The regenerator housing has a connection flange on the left side to the main cooler and is manufactured as one piece with the heater connected to the right side. The heater provides heat energy to the hot end of the regenerator through the working gas. To the left of the heater is a regenerator in the same housing, and to the right is a thermal buffer tube welded on. The heater also requires large internal and external surfaces for heat transfer in order to achieve maximum heat transfer from the combustion gases to the working gas with as little flow resistance and as little volume as possible. I built two heaters for comparative testing. The first has 100 drilled holes with a diameter of 3 mm and a length of 26 mm. In the other, I eroded 44 slots, corresponding to a total length of approximately 880 mm with a width of 0.7 mm over a length of 26 mm using my self-built EDM. In addition, both have 3 cross holes with a diameter of 6 mm through which the combustion flames also can reach the inside of the heater. A 3D printed component would offer even better opportunities to optimize the heat transfer surfaces. An internally integrated burner would further increase efficiency and simplify exhaust heat use. I have already received offers from 3D printing companies for a printed metal heater for the price of a test video. A ceramic heater would be even better, but I don't know anything about the cost, tightness and strength under pressure. I operate the burner with self-generated biogas, but of course any other heat source can be used with a suitable burner and heater. The Thermoacoustic Stirling engine has 2 coolers. The main cooler cools the cool side of the regenerator through the working gas, while the secondary cooler ensures that the subsequent feedback loop and the power extraction unit do not become too hot. The main cooler has a connecting flange on the right to the regenerator housing and on the left to the compliance. The secondary cooler has a connection to the thermal buffer tube on the left and to the branch of the inertance and the power extraction unit on the right. To cool the working gas effectively, the largest possible internal and external surfaces are required for heat transfer. My first coolers consists of turned and milled parts with 160 holes each with a diameter of 3 mm over a length of 13 mm. I use a highly effective water cooling system with inexpensive components from the area of computer water cooling. With good water cooling, the coolers could also be made from self-printed FDM plastic parts. Special heat-conducting plastic filaments or copper wires or similar materials glued into the cooler, which is printed from more temperature-resistant plastic, is the easiest way to build the cooler of your own. The thermal buffer tube or thermal relaxation tube insulates the heater of the secondary cooler and transmits the acoustic power out of the hot zone. Its length should be at least 6 times the particle amplitude of the working gas. I hope you have gained an impression of how the thermoacoustic core works and have lots of suggestions and ideas about it. The core is by far the most important and complex part of the engine where, at least for higher performance, it is almost impossible to make progress without special machine tools or external manufacturing using 3D printing. Fortunately, 3D printing of metal or ceramics is no longer unaffordably expensive. Since the tolerances are not that precise, it is also possible to print plastic metal filaments on your own FDM printer and then bake them, which is probably the most cost-effective solution. Despite its simple design based on just a few basic parameters, the engine already produces quite high performance. Optimization with delta EC, CFD and pressure charging will result in a huge increase in performance. With my mechanical Stirling engines, you could multiply the power at ambient pressure by the boost pressure in bar to get a fairly accurate result. I am very interested to hear your opinions and ideas. Which development and communication platform would be most suitable? Is Discord, where anyone can participate, sufficient, or is GitHub better, even though it may exclude many people? Please write lots of comments and post on Discord. Your help counts. You can find the link for the 3D models and drawings in the video description. If you would like to support me in the project further, you will find many more exclusive content, 3D models, drawings and files in the members area and on Patreon. A special thanks goes out to all channel members and supporters on Patreon. Thank you very much for your interest, and I look forward to your comments and ideas.